desert breathed that day. It was quiet in the quicksand when he came my way, all alone again.
Well, hi, Shell.
Hey, Shell.
Hi. We
Yeah.
would like today, because of the title, Instant Enlightenment and Spiritual Bypassing, to shed some gentle light on the spiritual esoteric market, because that field is so overcrowded. On every corner you will find a guru who wants to help you with your supposed problems. And we have to warn you in the beginning right away, we are not enlightened and we have not drunk pearls of wisdom today. But we have our special guru invited today, which is Jamie Catto. Although I prefer to stay with the term creative facilitator, mischief marker, and trailblazer, cutting through the bullshit to clear the way for authentic connection and inner understanding. Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Here we are, your little fledglings.
I know, such a treat. So
Yeah.
heart-wrenching when I think about the journeys that I've been on with you and also with all the guys since you. We've had 4 or 5 years now of the facilitator training that you did, the Bringit Training. And it's just been such a journey of so many people and so many events and so many, but nothing will be like the first time we did it all together. And we almost kind of created the course by doing the course the first time we all did it together, and it was like such a tight-knit family by the end.
Yeah, and that's, the amazing thing, and if I'm looking back, is seeing your latest Bring It menu out there for the next bunch of little trailblazers that are coming, and seeing now the impact of the connection with you and what was taken away and the different community and connection aspects gained from it, which was quite a difficult time for some people because it was during COVID and many of us were under lockdown, extra emotions and things coming up for everybody. And so, yeah, it was that navigation through that sea with you and Ben and with each other all sort of swirling around. So I know that was it's been a big part of shifts and changes for me in the last 5 years, and finding your course, even though there was some awareness that you were already semi-rock star in documentaries and music and more. So
Oh,
yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, we all had to go on we were all, we always say in the School for the Insanely Gifted that we're on a twin trail, a journey out into the world, learning things, doing things, taking courses, being in groups. But that's always got a mirror of the trail, the path into your own heart. We were all sent on a very personal set of challenges, as well as the group journey outwards on our lovely pirate ship.
I remember meeting you when I came out of a toxic relationship, really going to a so-called dark night of the soul. And I was trying really to process my own mess. And by meeting you, I discovered exercises and tools which were so helpful and so funny, actually, because I'm not so much into that esoteric stuff we want to talk about today as well. And I like the most the authenticity in your workshops and in your courses. And of course, that's why I signed in as well for the teacher training, where I met Shell, where I met a lot of other people as well. And those connections I still keep in my heart. They are still alive. And yeah, some things are created out of them, as our wildflowers today.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much exploration, so many combinations of different personalities at different places on their journeys. You can't plan it. It's like making a mosaic where every single part of it is a jewel, a precious jewel. You don't know what the final picture is going to look like at the end, but if every single part of it is beautiful, you'll end up with something mysterious and beautiful. And that's, for me as an artist, a big part of that mystery and that gradual unveiling, that gradual becoming of whatever is the final picture. It's not planned. this is exactly how it will be by the end, then we have to meet that thing and tick it off. It's more like, these are the ingredients, let's see what happens when we put them together.
It's like finding the own purpose, getting out of that hamster wheel we are put in every day from 9 to 5, and like getting out and finding your own soul purpose, which is beautiful. And as you said, when you are tapping into that intuition, the doors are opening as well. Although it's kind of interesting because, Jamie, you are a musician, you are a film producer. If I may tell that you are the one of the found members of Faithless, the huge band in the 90s. So I would like to know how you get from a musician, a filmmaker, to, a spiritual teacher.
Well, I've always been someone who really enjoys trying different things. You know, I never thought, oh, I'm a musician, so I shall now always only play music, or I'm a filmmaker, I shall now only, you know, like, I'm a creative person. If I get an opportunity to try something out, like making bowls out of clay or, you know, whatever, like, I like to try different things out. Sometimes they just somehow take flight all by themselves, you know, like teaching workshops was the last thing I wanted to do. And in fact, when we finished the second One Giant Leap and there was a big pause, there was no money for music and films in those years because there was a global crash, so you couldn't go and get budgets for anything for a while. I had to do something, and my girlfriend said, "Oh, why don't you do a little workshop? You know, see if it's interesting, see who comes." And I was like, "Fuck you! I'm not a fucking workshop leader. That make me sick. I'm an artist. You know, I make films, I make music. Workshop leader." I was like heartbroken that she could even suggest such a thing. Then another 5 months went by and the phone didn't ring with people wanting me to produce their album or make a film or do anything. And it was like, fine, okay. So I put together this idea of what would I teach anyway? I mean, oh, I know. Well, I guess I've done a lot of wacky projects, you know, where I've had an idea and actually done the movie or got it done. Not everyone gets their projects done. I know. I'll do a bring your dream project into the world workshop. Yeah, I could do that. So as I put together the idea for it, I realized it was like going to be a 2-day thing. I realized that before I even create with anyone, I want to make sure they are the whole self. I want to make sure they're not wearing the mask of I'm so unworthy, or the mask of I'm so brilliant, or the mask of I have to be a great artist, or the mask of all the different kind of problematic parts of people that make themselves small. You don't want that coming into the creative process. So the first part is to get big, you know, is to get out of all the edits, out of all the masks, out of all the ideas. Then let's create together. That's exciting. So the first day of the workshop was getting out of the boundaries, getting out of the box. And then the second day was real creation and making a project. So I didn't realize I was really doing shadow work at the time, and I was working with all kinds of things I later discovered, like internal family systems, things actually other people had done before me, but I thought I invented it. So I was actually quite upset when I discovered they already existed. But yeah, that's how I got into it, was like actually as a path towards helping people be creative. And then I realized that the tools you learn with those games, they don't just help people be creative, they help people put down all of their wounding and their childhood patterning and their problems with their parents and their inability to cry or their procrastination as artists. All the things people need to transform and heal and process work with these games. It's the same process for stepping into your artistry and as it is to face your difficult relationship with your mother. It's actually kind of the same journey. And they just got more and more and more popular. Like more and more people came, they flew in from different countries, and it just kind of carried on, you know. And I still, you know, as you know, make certain films and albums, but the workshops and the mentoring has really kind of become the main thing now for the last 10 years, especially the teacher training.
Would you say it actually fills your cup the most?
No. I recently, when I finished the Ramdass film, Becoming Nobody, I did a tour across America to all these cinemas, giving a talk, a screening and a talk in each one. It was so fun. But what was so fun about it was I was not going across the world as Mr. Guru. I was going across the world as the artist that made this great film. Oh, feels so much better. Being a musician artist just feels being the sort of teacher and it's still a bit cheesy. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like pious. It's a bit like, oh, I'm teaching you how to do things. You know, being an artist has got none of that nonsense. You just go, you think, here's my movie, here's my album, let's play a gig. Like we've got some gigs coming up this summer with the new album. I can't wait to be on stage, not with a microphone leading a meditation, but playing bass and rocking the whole place with some loud, fast music.
Mhm.
Yeah, talking about that frame, I want to call it. My superior recently said that my suggestions for coverage topics were too alternative. So I was like, okay, define alternative. And he said, well, I don't know how to explain it. I could be wrong because I'm not that familiar with the subject, but too esoteric. So, I mean, in the past, people with an esoteric attitude, they used to hang blankets over the TV at night to keep the radiation out. Nowadays, in the age of healthy detox, you can have a serious debate of how many different forms exist to cut salary. And for me, these are once again terms that I use to create stereotypes and separation as well. Look at her, she's crazy, what she's up to now. And what we have learned over the last few years at yours, at Ben's, and also on the way on our path has been the exact opposite. It was like compliments, it was acceptance, it was encouragement to never give up your dreams and to always follow your heart, actually. Um, I would wish for such words in every job, in every school, in every family, friendship, and relationship, because
Absolutely.
that's it.
Yeah. Real is the new sexy.
Yeah.
Telling you you're too esoteric or you're too emotional or you're too this. It's like, why limit the field we can play in? You can be as esoteric as you want. You can also be as corporate as you want. You can be as honest as you want, or you can be a total sort of liar and play with the foolishness of mischief and tricking people. It's all welcome. Um, Whatever is authentically you. When people say, "Oh, don't do this, it's too much like this," or too much, like I was asked to DJ an ecstatic dance thing in Holland. Um, and they looked over my shoulder at my playlist. I didn't have it. You never have it exactly, but you have, your body of stuff. And they saw like tracks from like the Muppets and stuff, and they were very worried that that's not ecstatic dance. It's like, who's to say?
Was it the Mana Mana song?
It was the lime and the coconut.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Nielsen Schmilson.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Jamie, do you think there's like in say in 5 years or so that's passed more or less, do you think that there is like an explosion or more on offer for people? Or are we just more aware in terms of, say, more types of yoga, more types of breath work, and multiple new somatic modalities, more gurus to follow if we want to?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't noticed an increase. I just noticed more variety. But I think
Mm-hmm.
that's just because people can't carry on doing the same thing every time. They've got to give it a spin. So it's not like I'm just teaching yoga. They'll have to say, I'm teaching women's yoga for cycle awareness. Or, you've got to
Gotcha.
have something that makes your niche so that people have a reason to come to you, not just go to the loony down the road. And I think it's less guru-ish. I haven't, well, maybe it's just my social media feed. I don't really see much guru stuff. I see much more common, well, actually, my algorithm that knows what I like, it generally sends me either people falling over and hurting themselves, often while trying to sort of drive over a thing, crashing or whatever, or stand-up comedy. So that's like occupies most of what comes through my social media. But I haven't really seen very much guru stuff. I've seen people do a lot of ceremony stuff and a lot of plant medicine stuff, a lot of breath work, a lot of all that stuff. But I think people have learnt their lesson that it's harder and harder now to set yourself up as someone who is talking from the top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have some funny experience as well during your journey, which you remember would stay in your head, or which you would like say, "Oh, never again"?
Well, there have been times when, I like to be a little bit irreverent around things people take very seriously. So there are certain places I have taught where I've been invited to teach where people are still very stuck in, that's my judgment, are very stuck in the sort of like, I am spiritually superior, I am a light warrior, a Reiki master. You know how I really react to all that kind of stuff. When it's all too serious. I love actually the actual stuff. I love the crystals, the dolphins, the Reiki. Don't tell anyone. But all that, the stuff itself is fine. It's just like so many of the people that do it are so sort of up their own arse serious. So I would play to that. I remember one particular place when I was teaching in this sort of university in Devon called Schumacher, which was a very kind of spiritual alternative university. But again, a lot of people who are very, very, what my friend Hella calls the Taliban Buddhists. Um, and they're all about their rules, and you have to do it this way. So of course I don't do it that way. And I tell people, I make up Sanskrit, I invent Sanskrit words that really annoys the scholars. And eventually they chase you out, so I've had times where I've kind of been chased out of the place with the angry villagers and pitchforks, like as if I'm some sort of like satanic force, like that I'm not holy. I'm a problem. I'm the opposite of holy. And sometimes, I'm also one of those people that I'm a total hypocrite in the way that I always want to bully the bullies. So if someone bullies me or is in a bullying way, instead of me wanting to be peaceful and diffuse the situation, I want to get them as upset as possible. So it's a very bad cycle, what tends to happen when you put me in those places. I've got my problem with authority mixes with my immaturity, um, and mixes with my Tourette's, and
That's
it's
a good
not
mix.
always a healthy combination.
It's a perfect mix.
It's perfect mix for my gang, my pirates, and you guys, and all my student teachers, and the insanely gifted family. We all love it. We can't. If somebody complains, for example, and starts trolling me and telling me that I'm Illuminati or I'm, some sort of thing some bad thing that they've decided I am. I want to be that thing more to see where it goes. So if they say that I'm some arrogant white man privilege person, I will probably respond, look, I'm really flattered and everything, but I'm just not ready for a relationship right now. And imagine that, make them think I think that they fall in love with me. There's nothing more annoying when you're criticizing somebody than them assuming you're in love with them. So there's a lot of fun to be had when people behave in grotty or judgmental or bullying ways. It's like they've stepped into our circus, and we can play with, maybe it gives us permission to be even more ridiculous and take the whole thing even less seriously. It's fantastic.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can
And
use that everywhere. Like if somebody um culpables you of doing, is that true? What I heard about you? You say like, yes, how couldn't you know already? You can use that everywhere.
Absolutely.
yeah. And I'd just like to deviate slightly, just with you talking about being in love, or and relationship, and talk about the Gentle Village, because I've really enjoyed listening to your podcast. It's been great with you and your buddy Neil. Do you want
Yeah,
to
I
share a
never
little
really
bit about
promote
that?
it, but occasionally people say to me they listen to it. I don't know if whether I don't even count the list. I don't know if it has 50 or 500. I have no idea.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's lovely when someone says they've heard it, because I almost forget we do it after we finished it.
yeah. But would that be your latest project?
Not It's certainly not the latest one. We're going into production on a new movie next week, and the new album All Heart that's coming out this year. We got concerts this summer, so I would say that's a bit more recent, because
Wow.
Gentle Village's first one was February last year. We've done 7 episodes, like one every 2 months. And it's just the thing that me and Neil have very different relating styles when it comes to romantic and sexual relationships. He's poly and crazy, and I'm anxious and monogamous. or whatever. It depends. Put me in. We're all fluid, but
Yeah.
we have very different relating styles, and so we've always had these really, really deep conversations about our relationships and about what we notice. And one day we were like, people, it's so arrogant, but we were thinking people should hear this conversation. These two totally different people kind of wrangling about what's true for them and all our vulnerabilities and questions around women and everything. And so yeah, it just came from us having these conversations that went so deep and was so sort of full of meaty goodness that we thought we should record these.
We thought the same, Shell and me.
Exactly. I'm in your gentle village today.
That's why we ended up here, actually. So here we are recording our conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the fun. I love the authenticity of the workshops, the courses, and especially everything. The Ramdass movie impressed me the much. How did you get Ramdass to do a movie?
Well, I just rang them up. I met him when I was in my 20s, when I went to my first Ramdass retreat, when Claire was pregnant with Indy. So that was like 26 years ago or something. No, 31 years ago. Anyway, he was also in both the One Giant Leap movies. He let me interview him, and he had a short part in the death chapters of both those films. And it just occurred to me, after that, that Ramdass is in a few films. He's in Fierce Grace. He's in one or two other films, but he's kind of serious in those films. He comes across as a spiritual teacher and very beautifully, but he's a comedian. He's a disruptor. He's a sacred fool, and he's hilarious. And there were none of the films that remotely got across how absolutely hilarious and where his comedy meets his teachings is gold, pure gold to me. And so I wanted to make that film. I wanted to make the sort of all the funny bits, all the greatest hits, all my favorite stories, the real Ramdass message as I've received it,
Mhm.
from ego to death, baby to death. And so yeah, I just called them up and said, I want to make the Ramdass movie. I don't believe it's been made yet. He's not getting any younger. I think there's an incredible one to be filmed. They said, yeah, here's the keys to all of our archive. Let's do this. And then I went to Hawaii to interview him, and it took a long time to get it right. But once we finished it, it was as good as I could make it.
I like him because he's the most authentic spiritual teacher on earth, I believe.
I really think
And
so.
yeah,
That's why he's funny.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Becoming nobody. The message hits me already, becoming nobody. Because in life, we always think we have to become someone. We have to be a doctor. We have to be a lawyer. We have to be here. We have to be that. But no, we have to become nobody and
We
get
have
rid
to
of
let
all
go
the
of all the things we think we have
let
to become.
go, let go, let go.
And realize that all those things we become, a good son, a good daughter, a
Yeah.
rich person, a powerful person, a successful person, life is actually a journey towards letting that go, because that's what you have to do at death. You have to let that go. You have to let go everyone you love. You have to let go your lover, your husband, your wife, your children, your money, your status. You don't get to keep any of it. You can't carry any of it through the pearly gates of heaven. And so becoming nobody, and putting much less important on all those things that the human ego puts importance on, seems like a very sensible thing to do.
Yeah, when we were talking about the spiritual teacher, um, talking about that authenticity, and on the other side, the enlightenment, the enlightened spiritual gurus, I want to call them, isn't it also a way to avoid real problems? I think that's because it's called spiritual bypassing. You bypass something, you bypass serious blockages or
Some people
troubles.
do that. I see less and less of it, and I'm very judgmental about it when I see it. But obviously, when anybody sees somebody in some sort of goddess tiara with a cape and twinkly music and prancing unicorns going, "We are light warriors, step with us into the seventh portal," it's silly. But some people like that stuff. Some people are all about the smudging the sage and the crystal on the head, and like totally detached from the human mess that we are all really living. Some people don't, they call it running upstairs, spiritual bypassing. It's like they don't like it downstairs where the humans are messy. They want to be upstairs where it's all perfect, looking down from the higher self, but never getting their feet wet. My belief is we need both.
Yeah.
We need our humanity, which is shitty and mean, and we doesn't mean we harm other people with the mean stuff, but we don't pretend it doesn't live inside us, because if we deny our demons, they come and eat us. So it's good. You've got to know I have an angry dragon. I know I have a selfish brat. I know I have all these things inside me. And by knowing it makes it much more likely that I'm going to keep it under control and not let it harm other people. If I'm like, no, I don't have any of those things, those aren't me, then that thing will be able to leap out because I'm not noticing it. It can slip in and sabotage and hurt people. So I think it's much better to honor and acknowledge that we have all these dark or less socially acceptable parts in our ego, in our everyday life, in our humanity, and so that we can actually make sure we don't harm other people or ourselves with them.
Well, I actually never had so much fun to observe the little characters running inside of me.
Yeah, so
Last week.
one of
It's
those
so much fun. How about
people are
you,
going
Shah?
sort of, oh no, that part of me shows I'm not spiritual. I feel ashamed. I have to get rid of that part of me. When really the truth is like, oh, there's my little angry dragon again. Cute. But you don't let it grab control. Actually, when you're going, no, no, get behind me. I'm not an angry dragon. Then it gets control. The resistance and the pushing away of our humanity gives those things much more control over us. And by treating them like they're cute and tickling them under the chin, we take away their huge phantom power, and we keep an eye on them so they don't manage to come and create trouble.
Yeah. And I think a lot about that, walking hand in hand with that little character as well, and then saying thank you very much for what you've done for me, but I'm good now. One of the little techniques you taught us. But I think that being in the middle of the mess too, another thing that comes back for me is just so important. And I'm surprised. It's almost like I think it's a titration or something that just takes time for you to absorb and get used to sitting in the discomfort as well. Yeah, those are just things that I've certainly taken away over time. And I'm really fascinated that some of the people I have chosen to follow or found have resonated with me online, leaders of various types, they all mention Ramdass. It's at some point or another, all of a sudden I'm like, wow, this guy has clearly had a massive impact, because apart from watching your Giant Leap videos, I had no idea who he was. And
Yeah,
then
me neither.
your movie just opened up another huge, like, wow, becoming nobody. And then to find that people who have a philosophy that I really enjoy also have him underpinning their values and things. Yeah.
Yeah, he always says, be as much of a light warrior as, you can be right out there, but you don't need to forget your zip code. Being truly spiritual is not an excuse to sort of lose contact with the human race. So when people say, oh, I can't be spiritual, I can't do all the sort of depth of spirituality I want to do because I've got kids. He's no, your kids are your spiritual practice. Your domesticity and cleaning your house or whatever we're all doing, that's as much a part of spiritual practice as lighting candles on a puja table. More, in fact, you're going to get more self-knowledge and more of having to highlight different blocked parts of your ego being a parent than pretty much anything else you can on offer on the planet. I mean, I've got 3 daughters, as you know, so I know my place. You don't get grandiose when you have 3 daughters.
I have 2 daughters
You get
and
it.
3 cats. Yeah, Jamie, getting back on those characters we all have inside of us. There are so many. I so love the games you are playing on your workshops, on your teacher trainings. The games with the monkeys in our heads, in the Headfuck FM. Let's dive a little bit into that because we were already talking about one of them. There are many more. It's not only the inner critic.
Oh my God, we go through, we start with the first 10 on the course, but we go further than that. But just to give an example that there are 10 that we all have, just to begin with, there's the pessimist catastrophizer who thinks everything's going to go wrong, is always guarding against, the next disaster pessimistically. There's the to-do list addict, never being able to stop the plan of what needs to get done. There's the vengeful murderer. There's the sex maniac. There's the naive child. There's the innocent victim, suffering, persecuted. There's the inner critic. There's the slave driver. There's the superior, know better, know everything better than everyone else. There's the martyr, rescuer, pleaser. That's just the first 10. And there's more. So like, to pretend that's not the case and just see how hard I can keep the door locked with all of those inside, that's never going to work. Just like we always say, the more you push a beach ball down under the water, the more violently it springs back up. So we have to find a way to do what the Tibetan Buddhists recommend, which is, they call it feeding meat to the demons. You have to give them some oxygen and let them find. So if you have a lot of rage inside you, which most people do, I nearly said especially women then. I'm glad I stopped myself.
Yeah,
If you
talk
have a
it
lot
out.
of rage inside, you need to be writing poetry, doing kickboxing, or have a punk rock band. You've got to have some place for the healthy expression. Some of the greatest characters of literature came from that place. You've got to have a place where they can be expressed so that they don't be toxic in your real life.
And speaking of games, how's Game Changer, worked out for you,
It's
and
been
how
so
does it?
wonderful.
Yeah,
Game
quite
Changer is,
different to teaching, like the
yeah, I mean,
whole
Game
10
Changer is
months.
playing the games. Bringit is learning how to learn the games and teach the games, and is much more embodied. Game Changer is just a self-development journey and a family journey of doing my 20 best games over 20 weeks, closed group, 5 months. And it's done exactly what I wanted it to do, which is create these intimate little families of 20 people that carry on. It's had a very ever developing pirate ship motif, that we're all shipmates and we're on the Game Changer ship. And what happens if I've done my job right on the 20th session each time, they mutiny and refuse to part. So they just carry on that week on a different Zoom. And we're now on ships 9 and 10. So and it's just always sold out twice over, and always these beautiful random family of wonderful, unpretentious, everyday people like you and me playing all my favorite games. There's this beautiful kind of homework where they all have a cup of tea with someone from the group on Zoom every week through the 20 weeks. So there's a lot of emphasis on the bonding of the group. And it's just been, yeah, Game Changer and Bring It has really kind of taken over all that side of my life now. There's very few weekend workshops, or I sometimes do 1 day workshops just for free, just because some people who can't commit to the whole 5 months of Game Changer or the 10 months of Bring It, means they can never do my stuff. So in order for the people that can't do those bigger commitments, every month or two I do a free workshop. And that's just so people can have a taste and do some stuff, even if they haven't got a big commitment in them yet.
Yeah, that's how you can meet Jamie. I love that you give away so much for free as well. The gatherings coming together, like
Yeah.
just being there, in the connection.
The money is secondary, really, isn't it? It's like, this is what,
It is.
and of course we'd like to earn as much money as possible while we do it, but we're going to do it with or without the money. And it's the same with, I've always had making movies and making music. The Faithless was never really planned to be a big thing. We did it because we loved it, because it was a great idea to mix different styles on one record. That was the idea for Faithless, was Maxi doing hip hop, me doing songs, Ayala doing house music and riffs, all on one album. That was unheard of in the 90s. You had to have house music on this part of the shop, hip hop on that side of the shop. You know, you didn't mix them. So it was just an experiment, and it became big. But like One Giant Leap as well, we just wanted to experiment with mixing different indigenous tribes and musical instruments from around the world, and amazing master musicians from different continents, because we were sure there had to be a way to make it sound good. What they used to call world music before One Giant Leap. None of the CDs or the albums were very good. They were all, very few you could really listen to. We were like, there must be a way to produce this music so you can really get it, how wonderful these people are. And so it was just an experiment. And as I said, even if we had never got a record deal, we were doing it anyway. We were going to carry on. We were just doing it because we were doing it. It happened that we got nominated for the Grammys and going around the world making movies, but we never had a plan at the beginning. Let's do world music and spirituality. That'll get us to the Grammys. You know, no one was, it was professional suicide. World music is professional suicide. Spirituality is even more professional suicide. I know. Let's do a project mixing world music and spirituality. Like, oh, why don't you want to be a success, Jamie?
Yeah, I think we should come to an end for today. And Jamie, I'm so happy that you made it today to our Wildflower vodcast.
To have this time with you, it's beautiful. Shell, have you been doing hair straightening?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
She
wanted
was
to
on
get
a
that
wedding.
happen.
I was supposed to go to a wedding. I didn't get there because I haven't been 100%. So
Oh,
at least I
nice.
could lie at home and feel moderately beautiful while I was miserable, you know?
Nice. Moderately beautiful. That's what we should all aspire to be. Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Great to see you, and thanks so
Jamie.
much for your time. It's
Yeah,
been
always.
great.
Anytime. Don't have
Yeah.
to have a podcast to connect. Love you guys.
Okay.
Bye.